Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's just me, Rich, for now. Kev is going to join us very soon. And I've also put the link at the top of the chat, at the pinned comment at the top, to join the show live. I did try this a few times when we first did the fans forum, and to see if anyone does want to come on, have their say on the Aston Villa news on or off the pitch. Get your thoughts in, get your comments in. Obviously, we get the comments in live. But if you want to come on the show, ask a question, have a little chat with us, then the link's at the top of the chat as well. Maybe we can have the conversation live, and you can join the show if it's on your phone, if it's on your laptop. Then feel free to jump on, and we'll bring you into the show live. And you never know, if it catches on, we might start doing that again with the fans forum, because as you know, it's your show and it's a Sunday night special. Usually we're on Tuesdays, but we're playing Crystal Palace this Tuesday night. So we thought we'd bring it early, and we're going to do a Palace preview tomorrow. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about Palace today, but we've obviously going to cover a little bit about the Chelsea game. Obviously, fantastic win. But I want to talk about our attacking options, and is this really what Unai Emery has been wanting since he's come to the club? To have the opportunity to have game changers and game finishers to end the season strong, because we saw last season, as much as we don't want to admit it, as much as we had a phenomenal season last season, we did kind of limp to the line in the Champions League. And hopefully this season, if we can string that bit of consistency together, and I've titled this, Can Villa Find the Consistency? If we can do that, then the attacking options that we've got will hugely help us. And does that give us a real advantage over the teams that we're fighting for in terms of the European spots, in terms of the Champions League spots? A lot of the results went for us this weekend, and you're seeing one or two teams falter. Have even Man City got the options that they used to have? Have Nottingham Forest got the options? Yes, Newcastle had a good result against Forest today, but have they really got the options off the bench? We saw Chelsea last night against us. They only really could bring on Jadon Sancho. They haven't really got the options. We've got the likes of Rashford, Asensio, Morgan Rogers, Jacob Ramsey, Leon Bailey, Daniel Marlin, Ollie Watkins. I mean, all of these attacking options that we have now at our disposal, or Unai Emery has at his disposal, all of these other clubs would absolutely kill for even half of those options at the minute. So are we in for an exciting end to the season? And, lots of times clubs talk about, well, they haven't had their really good run yet. They haven't had their big winning run or unbeaten run. And I've been critical of Aston Villa this season. Of course I have, and we've all been frustrated. But could it be that we're going to end the season with a real momentum shift and a real good run? And that's the key. That's the key. And lots of times we've talked about European or Champions League being over. Maybe it is. But certainly that top six, certainly the top seven. But could we finish in that top 5, top 4 position? And will the attacking options give us that? So I want to talk a bit more about that. Obviously, I want to talk about the consistency in the next sort of 5-6 games. And I also want to talk about kind of the defence in terms of the negatives. Tyrone Mings looking like he can't shake off that knee injury. Is it more mental, or is it actual, the physical thing, and he's going to really have to manage that injury? And have we got Pau Torres coming back quick enough? Have we got the likes of Ezri Konsa? Can we rely on him to play 2 or 3 games a week? The Axel Disasi, he's been in and out, not his fault, but is he going to get some momentum going now? Or Lamar Bohada? Have we got enough in those defensive, particularly the centre-back options as well? And of course, your questions and comments. Now, he's joining us slightly late, ghosting at the far post. Here he is, the man himself, KT. Good to have you on board, mate. I was just waxing lyrical. I'll cover it in a second, but I want to go through some of the comments in the chat I've also put the live link to see if anyone wants to join us on tonight's Fans Forum, Kev. It'd be great to get some people on. So let's see what we can do. But Kevin said, watch a late surge by Villa now. Fifth spot is there for the taking. Now, I'm sure that is something that music to your ears, Kev.
100%, mate. I think, in the words of Lenny Kravitz, it ain't over till it's over. And I've always felt like, the argument that's been made, like there's a lot of teams amongst it in this area, a lot of teams between us and fourth and fifth is absolutely true. But I don't know, I have a feeling with this team at some point, with the quality of the manager and the quality of the squad and the quality of the January signings, that we are going to start to get a bit of consistency. And when everybody is as inconsistent as they are, somebody's got to come through the pack and take it. And with these weekend results, with 4 or 5 of the teams around us losing, obviously somebody out of Forest and Newcastle, if one of them was to win, had to get a bit honest. But other than that, it's gone as well as we could have hoped, really. And why not? I mean, we're very close to it anyway. There's still plenty of time left, plenty of points available. And even though we've not had the wins at home, in terms of some of the performances, in terms of some of the positive signs, I think post-Christmas compared to pre-Christmas, in terms of the boost we've had from these January signings, and look at the impact on the game, yesterday, in terms of goal and assist combination, there's a lot to be positive about. So yeah, I really feel like fourth, fifth charge is absolutely there for the taking, because other than Liverpool, I don't really bother about anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will says, if we didn't beat Chelsea, though, he would have joined me, particularly, in that we won't get the Champions League. And it does still kind of feel like that. And I would imagine that quite a few teams around us are feeling that as well. Obviously Chelsea lost yesterday to us. They're probably saying, oh, well, there's no chance of Champions League football. It just kind of feel like that at the minute, every result is so important that a defeat puts you into that mindset of there's no way of us getting Champions League football. But a win all of a sudden puts you into that, well, we're only 2 points off Newcastle. We're only 2 points off fifth. I think Kevin's put that in the chat. So it is, every result is so crucial. And obviously that takes us, obviously talking about getting a result on Tuesday night against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, well, this is it now. Can we put together a run of results? Can we get the consistency? It's it was great, wasn't it, in the last week, getting that win over Ipswich and getting those 2 draws against Liverpool and Chelsea. Oh no, it didn't work out like that, did it? But you know what I mean, like 5 points really should have been 7. Really should have been 7, if not 6. But 5 better than 3. 5 better than 4, clearly. So it's something to build on. I know we've played an extra game, but we've got to piece it together now. And honestly, if you look, we obviously played well against Liverpool in patches in that game, and we easily could have won it at the end. And they're a team that Man City couldn't score against today, at their own ground, and we could have had 4 or 5 against Liverpool. A lot of chances in the game for both teams, but a lot of chances, and I feel like they knew they were in a game, and we could have won it right at the death and made other chances. And if you look at the highlights of that game, you wouldn't think we had hardly any chances, apparently.
Oh no, it was shocking.
Shocking.
Same yesterday on Match of the Day with the Chelsea game. They only showed
I agree.
2 goals and the Marlon chance. That was it. Oh, maybe the Watkins one, maybe.
Yeah, Fernandes just shaving the bar. Palmer having one bobbling past the post. Yeah, a couple of long balls from Reece James. Anyway, so I think we're in a situation now where you can take confidence from that game. Certainly confidence from being 1-0 down against Chelsea and turn it around in front of the whole end for a 2-1 win. And if you can go to Palace, who had a good win at the weekend, obviously, Fulham obviously been doing well. If you can go win that game, I think you start to get a bit of momentum kicking in. Then you beat Cardiff, albeit with I'm sure a changed team in the cup, and then that is 3 victories in a row. You've not lost for a bit, and it starts to get a bit of a feeling of a momentum train. All we need to do is get Dean Smith and Jack Grealish back and get a Rotherham away, and then we can properly get on this run. But teams catch fire. They can get momentum, and why can't that be? Why can't we be the team now? And if you are in this league and you're a Man City, you're looking behind your shoulder now. You are, because you've been up and down all season. Nottingham Forest have lost 3 of the last 4. They've had some bad defeats as well in that, and I think our real challenges are probably going to be Chelsea, Man City, and Newcastle. I know Bournemouth have been fantastic, and I'm not writing them off at all. But really, you've got Liverpool, Arsenal, and then it's three, isn't it, out of Chelsea, Newcastle, Man City, Villa, Bournemouth. You probably still include Brighton and Fulham in that, and obviously Forest. So loads to play for. Who fancies it? Who's up for it? You can say for
Yeah,
certain as
exactly.
well. You know, the likes of a Marlon, Rashford, Asensio aren't coming to Villa with their pedigree and not expecting to do well. So that's the great thing about bringing in quality like that, is that they'll have an expectation.
Yeah, yeah. I've started a few comments. People, Marine Boy said, "Let's not get carried away. That was our first win in 6 and 3 hard away games to come." Exactly. And we're gonna focus a little bit later on some fixtures because we've got some of the teams around us. Well, a lot of those teams around us to play. Quite a few of them at home, so some big home games. And talking about that consistency, like you mentioned, Kev. But what before you came on, what I was talking about was the attacking options that we have now and how we must be at the minute the envy of the league. When I went through, the Chelsea bench, they only brought on Sancho. When you talk about Newcastle's bench, they've really got Wilson coming back to fitness, Barnes, who can come on in an attacking sense. When you talk about Forest, not really a great attacking, too many attacking options for them. Even Man City, not a huge amount of attacking options, or certainly players in form for them to bring on. Villa have got Marcus Rashford off the bench, Daniel Martin off the bench, Leon Bailey off the bench. Then they're starting Rodgers, starting Ramsey, starting Asensio, starting Watkins. I mean, this is the time. This is the squad. These are the attacking options that Unai Emery, I feel, has wanted for the last 2 years. And yes, while I totally agree with Marine Boy, I totally agree with some of the other comments about not getting too carried away. In terms of the tools to end the season strongly, in terms of the attacking options at least, we've got an embarrassment of riches. So could that really be the key to us or propelling us higher up the table and to finish the season strong?
Yes, I absolutely think it can be. Look, I put a tweet out today, and I started it with thoughts on the game. Can't get carried away with one win. Need consistency. Although I'm now going to be totally hypocritical to my own comments from a few hours ago and say, let's get carried away. You don't say to your kids on Christmas Eve, don't get carried away, kids. So, this is Christmas Eve for Villa fans. We're on the eve of, possibly FA Cup's quarterfinal, quarterfinals of the Champions League. If we can beat a team in Bruges, which I think everyone else would have fancied playing in that whole knockout phase. If you got Bruges, you'd have been happy with it. And we are on the cusp now of the Champions League qualifying positions in the Premier League. But the next bit of that tweet was exactly that. Forward options of Watkins, Marlon, Rashford, Asensio, Rodgers, Bailey, Ramsey. Wow. And I added to that, Cash is clearly a left back. And imagine when we've got Onana, Barkley, and Kamara back in midfield, and obviously Torres, Disasi, and Mings fully fit with Konza, etc., etc. But yeah, I look at these forward options now, and I felt when we had Duran and Watkins, we had a really, really strong. We used to say it a lot, best 2 strikers in the league. You've got a Champions League finalist in Daniel Marlon. You've got a 3 times Champions League winner, double goal hero, Marco Asensio, if I can even say it. You've got Marcus Rashford looking like he's in as good a form as he's been in 2 or 3 years. You add to that Leon Bailey thinking, hang on a minute, bit of competition. I think I might actually start playing like Bailey of last season. I thought he was really good when he came on. You're going to have Ramsey chomping at the bit. You've got Morgan Rodgers, who's been our best forward player all season. I'm not even including in that your likes of your Yuri Tielemans with your ability to unlock a defence, and obviously Ross Barkley can chip in with a few goals. So we, I think, are going to be the envy of the league. Remember, we used to look at Man City with De Bruyne and Haaland and Foden and Grealish. I think outside of Liverpool, I think we've got the best. We've got some great attacking options as well, to be fair to them. But outside of Liverpool, I think we probably are the envy. I think for us, if you put aside this absolute anomaly of everybody having a shot, I think Villa could play my lads under 11's team and they'd concede from the first shot. Like something would happen, wouldn't it? Like go through someone's legs and hit off a heel and spin in. That has to sort itself out at some point. at some point we get our defenders back. This, 944 defensive partnerships this season, it feels like. Tyrone Mings like some kind of bionic man just coming. It's like, in a movie when you think like someone's dead and they can come back. You remember when it was T-1000 in Terminator 2 comes out of the molten lava and he's still alive.
Yeah.
I see Tyrone Mings go down on the pitch. I think he's definitely done. Then he's back again. At some point, we're gonna have some sort of solidity, and we can then really see these attacking options it's not going to be able to come from behind all the time. And I do feel like in the next 3 or 4 weeks, someone's going to get a beating. I think someone's going to get a pasting.
Yeah, well, just to allow some of the defenders to have a game off every now, or Unai'S to have a couple of options of who to play at centre back partnership, and rather than just trying to scrabble around on it's like the Sunday League manager trying to ring round everyone on a Saturday night. Can you put a shift in, mate? Can you?
It's exactly that, mate. I played a match, 11-a-side match on Friday night, and it was literally like, just rolling on subs every now and then, proper 11-a-side game, and you have people thinking, why am I up against like somebody is like, in their mid-50s up against the geezer who's 24 who plays semi-pro, and it's like this mismatch is for all to see. And you've got players in this Premier League that when they're on form, if you're not absolutely at it, I will say as well, that's why we need to give huge credit to Lamar Bogard, or Bojada, however we say it, because I thought he was excellent when he came on.
Yeah,
Excellent.
well, Ivan said Bojada is a star and has been for some time. That only one of the 2021 Youth Cup winning sides to properly stake a claim, and it's massive. I'm going to come back to the attacking thing because I've got some comments here, but just to touch on Bojada in terms of, I always say this: it's so difficult for young players to find their place in the squad, and it's invariably not about their ability. It's about, can they step up in a men's game, in the dressing room? Can they be a presence? Can they command the ball? Can they command respect? And you could see it now. The players are trusting him with the ball. He's getting in space. He's demanding the ball, and they're giving it him, and he's playing progressive passes. He's running forward with the ball, and Emery could really trust him now to play in that central defensive position, or even in that defensive midfield position. He's kind of done the rounds. He's played a bit at right back. He's played a bit at centre back, but now he seems like he's kind of found his place in the squad, and that's really important. So yeah, massive props to him. Just a bit more on the attacking options. But Kevin says Marlon is so hungry. He's like Duran, but without the antics. Yeah, I'd love him to get a goal. Scott UK says attack. Give Morgan a rest and play Rashford, Ollie, Asensio, and Marlon, and go for it. Gary said if you can't defend, attack.
Yeah.
Score 5s, concede 2. That'll do for me. Michael O'Brien says, my brother described our attackers like if you were a few seasons into a campaign of Football Manager. Yeah, definitely.
Did you see that thing going around? I think I might have tweeted this. Like, when you put on simulation mode a couple of seasons into FIFA, and it starts doing weird transfers. Like, that's what watching Villa's like at the moment. Like what's happened? Villa have got
some club fans can't believe that we've actually got these players. Like, people told us there was no options in January, and Villa are signing Rashford, Asensio, and Marlon.
Look at Arsenal. Arsenal apparently there's no one to strengthen their team for a title charge. Are you telling me that Marcus Rashford wouldn't have been a better shout than Raheem Sterling they bought in, obviously, in the summer? Or you're telling me Marlon wouldn't have improved Arsenal? Or Asensio wouldn't have? It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, it just goes to show, actually, we've given Monchi a bit of grief in the past, some fans, but got to give him some real credit.
Yeah, and I guess to kind of balance it up, I know we've probably taken a bit of a risk with the old wages to turnover issue and trying to bank on getting further in the Champions League or getting further in these competitions and finishing higher up the table. But they're certainly putting us in the right direction at the minute. Ivan, I've got to read this one out. Spot on, Rich. These attacking options will get us over the line in future key games, as they did yesterday. Absolutely. Dean says, I think Rashford and Marlon will be getting their opening goals on Tuesday, though. I can sense it. Patty says, we've got the right players for a better team now. Those new signings, although temporary, put us in a better place for wins. Absolutely. And this is a point that I wanted to make in Dristos. Brilliant point. If we start converting more of our chances and be more decisive and clinical, I will get carried away. Fight a little bit more in defence, but if we're honest, we're not too convincing at the minute. I think the first line of that will allow us to be convincing. And you've said it that a team is, by the way, with our attacking prowess, with the number of chances we created, maybe not so much yesterday, but certainly opportunities against Liverpool towards the back end of the game, opportunities against Ipswich. If we can be just that little bit more clinical, go 1-0 up, then 2-0 up, I really do think that we can start to really put teams away and then really enjoy our football. But it's about that being that ruthless, clinical best, isn't it, with those forward players?
Yeah, it is. It is. And we have struggled a lot this season with the spine of the team, haven't we? If you look at what's happened injury wise, look at our signings in the summer. Really, we've said it before, but the one that's had the most impact is probably still Barkley, and he's been out for 6 weeks. Matson's obviously had his moments. I thought I'm glad. I thought he could have come off at half time yesterday, and the fact he stayed on the whole game is good. But really, Onana was supposed to be that big guy in midfield, and we had to wait for Kamara to come back to full fitness, and then obviously, he's out again. We've obviously had the issues with Mings. We've had Cons who never gets injured, getting injured. Torres breaking a metatarsal. Carlos was obviously in and out. Disassi then being cup tied and all sorts of stuff, and then obviously not being able to play against his parent club. It's just been Cash has had injuries at right back. It's just been consistently issues through the team. And I look at that and think that's going to put a bit of pressure on any side, and that maybe does give you a situation where you are going to be a bit porous because there's new combinations, players playing in unfamiliar positions, and I think it shows a huge amount of resilience. One thing I don't think we talk about enough is that stat about Villa taking more points from losing positions than any other team. And it's absolutely.
We've kind of had to, though, haven't we?
Yeah, I know we've absolutely had to do it, but it says a huge amount, doesn't it, about
Yes.
resilience?
Yeah.
I mean, I know
Yes.
it's a positive spin. Oh, we have the best makeup sex of any couple in the world. Well, maybe don't argue as much, but you get. Sorry, it's after the watershed.
That's not me and you, by the way.
I'll tell you what I could get, mate. I've been single for 3 years. Just putting it out there. It's a family show. I apologise. But yeah, like let's look at I know it's a positive spin on a crap situation that you keep conceding goals, but the resilience and the belief in this team.
Yeah.
And we saw it early in the season with Everton and the Wolves wins. We've seen it lately, in going behind to decent sides and we've been winning. I mean, I know we don't put teams away, but we always look a threat in the last 10 minutes of a game. We always seem to be putting pressure on, and that's a really, really good sign. And I do believe if we can get some of these players back, I think it's just a super exciting time. I think we need to finish top 5, though. It's either finish top 5 or win the Champions League to stay in this zone where we can attract these kind of players. I think we need to do it.
Yeah, it is important. It is important. I think the kind of coming back from losing positions is a great trait to have, and it was one thing that I used to bemoan us about with Dean Smith, particularly in that couple of seasons in the Premier League, where if we went 1-0 up, we'd invariably win the game, but we'd never ever win if we went behind. And we've got that with Unai Emery, certainly in buckets, but it's that first shot on target that we keep conceding that's the issue at the moment. But not that we could, obviously we could have stopped the cross and talk about we'll talk about defensive issues in a bit in terms of personnel than anything. But yeah, it was. I definitely take your point. It's something that's a real character trait, and it's something that you want because no team feels like they can put Villa away. We were 2-0 down against Arsenal. We came back to draw 2-2. We were kind of in the game against Newcastle, even with 10 men, and it obviously took a little while for them to get over the line against us. But yeah, we're generally in games for the whole time, so that's the thing.
And I don't know if you've seen as well, like Gary Neville says he fancies us for top 4. So I know he talks a lot of hogwash sometimes, but I think that says a lot about how Villa have changed in the last few years to be seen by a lot of teams as a real thorn. I mean, I know we can have our aberrations and bad defeat at Tottenham and stuff like that, but really, if you look at our record against the big teams, I was at Liverpool away. I don't think we did a disservice of ourselves at all in that game. Yeah, no, it's all right. We're not talking politically, are we? So it's fine. But yeah, Yeah, he likes to stick his oar in on all topics, doesn't he, LG Nev? But yeah, no, I know he did it for Man United, didn't he, years ago? But I think you look at where Villa are now, we wouldn't even be in the equation, would we? Wouldn't even be getting the credit. And a lot of teams know, a lot of managers know as well. I think a lot of places know out there that Villa are the real deal. When we're on it, I know. I listen. I hear all of the talk because I've been the most negative version of myself ever in the last kind of iteration of Villa in the last 3 or 4 years because I think if we lost to Chelsea, maybe I would have thought it was a bridge too far. But it just goes to
Mm,
show that you've got to be calm because a couple of wins changes everything. I hear you cry.
exactly.
If only we could put a couple of wins together. I hear what you're saying, everybody, but um, you've got to be getting a good feeling when you see like the performances. The Liverpool game was a good game, to be fair, it was, and we got a point against a decent team. And let's be clear, it was an absolute howler from Garcia. Otherwise, other than in a great performance from him and a deflected goal, you know, to to only give us a point, against the best team in Europe, best team in England, and then we've turned over Chelsea from being 1-0 down. So there's a lot to
Bring
be
it
positive
on.
about.
Absolutely. Just a little shout out to Sai. He says he's been a little quiet lately. He's had some issues. Missed both the Wednesday and yesterday's show. Don't worry, mate. I'll miss both Wednesday and yesterday's games. Great to have you on, mate, and hope you're better soon, man.
Yeah, all the best, Si, all
All
the
the
best, mate.
best. All the best. Uh, he also said we've not played well until all season until now. Is this where we start our run? And this is
Yes.
kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I really think that. And there's a few people saying that in the chat. We can get fifth. Terry says, yes, Rich and Kev, I think we'll finish fifth. And everyone hit the like button for the lads. There you go. And there is only one Terry Turner. Good man, Tell. Make sure you smash that like button, people. Just a quick one, just round up on the attacking options. We've got to balance this squad, and I think Ivan had talked about it more in the defensive areas, and we are going to cover that in a second. But attacking wise, how do you approach the next two games, or even the next three? Really, if we think ahead, we've got Crystal Palace on Tuesday night, we've got Cardiff on Friday night, and then we've got Bruges the following Tuesday. How are you balancing up these attacking options with regards to, obviously we know Marlon can't play against Bruges, but how are you setting up for Tuesday night and then with Friday to come?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I think Marlon's starting the next two games because he can't play against Bruges, and I do think Rodgers needs a rest. So I think it's going to depend whether your Ross Barkley's, Amadou Onana is going to be back because you could put a Tielemans or a McGinn further forward. I think against the Cardiff, particularly as well. Is it time maybe against Cardiff for a couple of the kids to get a game? Jimo Aloba, Travis Patterson. Maybe you get like a bit of a wild card in there.
Patterson's on loan at MK Dons,
Oh,
but
he's gone,
yeah,
hasn't he,
get your point.
Patterson? Yeah, yeah.
Loba, Bragio, maybe.
Roger, yeah, just maybe like whether they start or come off the bench or maybe they start. I think that other big teams in the past have done this, where you've got your nine first team players and a really highly rated youngster, who if it doesn't work out after an hour, you can change it. Clearly, we
Mm.
want to take the FA Cup seriously, and I want to make that point absolutely. And I wouldn't want us to go out because we made 7 changes. But I do look at it and think if there's a chance to maybe give Rodgers, even if he gets to the last half an hour of the game, I'd expect maybe to see Matson to start that one. A defence, it's whoever's available. So we'll have to just patch that one up. Just I don't know if you need to change the goalie, and then maybe you've got Amal, and maybe Jacob Ramsey gets the nod again. I think Bailey, obviously he's been out for a bit, so Bailey could start. It'd be good to put in a Barkley and an Arna, wouldn't it? It'd be good to do that,
Yeah,
whether they both come
yeah.
back in.
It's interesting because like, does Rashford start on Tuesday and Friday, or does he make an impact off the bench Tuesday night and start Friday?
I I,
Uh,
I think you play him. I think
Asensio, we've got as well. Does he played 90 yesterday? Has he got enough for 90 minutes on Tuesday night, or do you save him for Friday?
I, I, would
It's one to balance, isn't it?
I would start Rashford because he's not played much football for 6 weeks. So I
Mm.
think from a fitness perspective, I think you maybe go with him from the start, and then you can maybe bring him off the bench for Cardiff if you need to get that impact again. Asensio, again, if I could bench him, maybe I'd bench him and bring him off if we need to against Palace. But yeah, I mean, if we had this full fit squad to choose from, then you would have an option to do a bit of rotation. But you certainly ain't rotating at Palace away because Palace away are no mugs at all. They're decent side.
No, absolutely no, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
Cardiff
We don't
side,
have a good record there. Yeah, and
no.
Cardiff. you want to make. When we've come up against teams that we should be beating in the FA Cup, we've come unstuck.
Yeah, we have.
Stevenage being one. I know we were probably in the Championship at that time, but Swansea being another at
Yeah,
home. There's been a fair few where we've come unstuck. So you don't want to be in a position where you can get to a quarter final, one game away from Wembley semi final. You're
yeah,
throwing it away. You just
yeah,
don't.
yeah. I totally agree. The thing we've got though is that, and we have to be so thankful that we didn't have to play those 2 playoff games, because genuinely, I think if we'd had those 2 extra games, I think you and me would have been playing centre half in one of the matches. You know, but you look at McGinn. I think, again, by the way, massive credit to McGinn. I think he's performed really well lately. Couple of stray passes, particularly in the Liverpool game. But I think his energy and engine has been brilliant in the last 2 games. I think he's been really good. That's my alarm.
What I've loved about John McGinn is he's been a shithouse again.
Yeah,
That's what I've loved about McGinn. He has played against probably the top one or two of on paper the top midfields in the Premier League.
yeah,
And he's dominated them. He
yeah,
was the best. Him and Tielemans were outgunned the Liverpool midfield on Wednesday night, and
yeah,
then Chelsea had the first half. Don't get me wrong; their midfield dominated the first half, particularly because they kept spreading the play, and then McGinn and Tielemans were chasing shadows, and Asensio was chasing shadows in that first half. But then McGinn got hold of the game in the second half, and you could see him riling up Cucurella, riling up Caicedo, riling up Fernandez, and he won the battle. He won the war. Sorry, they
yeah,
might have won the battle the first half, but he won the
yeah,
war and that's what I want from John McGinn. That's what I've been asking for when we come up against these sides, when we come up against the likes of Newcastle. It's like you've got to win the battle in midfield. You've got to, by
yeah,
any means necessary, whether you're pulling them, pushing them, smashing into them, having an argument with them, putting them off, whatever it is, you've got to win the battle. And
yeah.
that's exactly what John McGinn did. He didn't have the best technical game, of course not, but it's about competing and then allowing the other players to do the rest.
Yeah, whenever you talk about John McGinn as well, like whether is it maybe time for McGinn, is it, it's the sentiment there. It's been 7 years, whatever. He comes back like he has in the last few games and shows you that there's still plenty of life in that not even particularly old dog. I wish I was 30. So he's still very very much a young man, and he's generally kept pretty fit over his career. I know he obviously did his I think he broke his ankle, or maybe they did against Southampton, didn't he, 3 or 4 years back? He was out for like 3 months. But other than that, I think he's generally been pretty good in terms of injuries and kept pretty fit. But his game's all about energy. And just when you think maybe his levels are dropping, he comes back. But you look at the game against Cardiff and you think the ones that seems like they're running on empty a little bit, probably McGinn, Watkins. Well, not running on empty, but you might need a rest. Definitely Rodgers.
Yeah.
We've got a situation there. Let's not forget that Watkins hasn't played as much as he normally would have played by this point in the season. He obviously gets stronger towards the end of the game. So I'm pretty confident Watkins could keep it going all the way to the end now, because
Oh,
obviously,
definitely.
obviously he was injured a bit, out of the team for a bit with Duran.
And Marlon's a more than worthy replacement up top. I mean,
Yeah,
he can hold the ball up really well. He can turn on a sixpence. He's got that low centre of gravity. He's very dangerous coming on up front later on in the game. Absolutely. And he can do the same playing off the right as well. So lots of really good options there. And yeah, I think whoever he plays up top against, he's going to have to balance it up. But whoever he plays up top against Palace on Tuesday, that will be much changed from on Friday. Still very good though, I'm sure. And then whoever isn't playing on that Friday will obviously get a week's rest, because they wouldn't have played. They wouldn't have played since the Tuesday against Palace to then play against Bruges the following Tuesday. So it gives them a good opportunity, definitely. Now, an area where we haven't been blessed with the embarrassment of riches is it particularly at centre back, and we're having to juggle lots and lots at the minute. Sai says Mings and his knee. Is it an issue because he's had no rest when thrown in? You've got Konsa, who's probably not 100% fit right now. You've got Disasi, who came in and did really well against Liverpool, but then couldn't play against Chelsea. Can't play against Cardiff. So I'm sure he'll come in against Palace, but then he's missing the game against Cardiff. Then he's coming into a big Champions League game potentially against Bruges. You've got Torres maybe in training again this week, but you're probably talking 2-3 weeks for him.
Metatarsal, definitely, yeah.
How are we going to balance this centre-back issue at the minute?
Well, I think the key thing is, which is amazing to say, is how bad's Kamara's injury? Because Kamara is like potentially that reserve option you've got to give you a little bit of a safety net if the centre backs are out. And that was it maybe a couple of weeks? Did he say? Yeah, we've got Bahada,
Yeah.
Super Lamar Bahada. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I did think at the time with Kamara, like, it looked like it was a bad one, but by all accounts, it's not a bad one.
Yeah, I think he might be back. I think he probably could be back for the Bruges game.
Okay, so you've got him kicking around. Disasi now is what an important signing that was on the last day to get Disasi in, because as you say, like, yeah, clearly it's Cardiff Cup tied, but Palace, Bruges, sort of him not getting struck down by our injury curse of centre halves. Mings is an interesting one, isn't it? Because you listen to some people, and I understand why they say it, by the way. But is he one bad one away? Is he one further injury away from that him being done? I don't know, really. I don't know whether he would be. Is that close to the bone for him? Maybe I think he's probably just played more than he maybe thought he'd have to, with coming back because of the injury problems at centre half, and therefore that's why he does feel like he's almost. Remember Jamie Carragher in the Champions League that Liverpool won, and it was like he was kind of being peeled off the turf to keep going. If I feel like with Tyrone Mings at the moment that he's still going, but he seems pretty jovial afterwards. I know there was a thing within all the players in the tunnel where Mings maybe didn't look as happy, but who knows? I don't know. He's a bit of a worry, Mings, isn't he? But he seems to be getting through games, but he does seem to be having a couple of little mistakes in the games, which I think he'd got out of his game about a year or so ago. Hopefully,
I'm not sure if it's slightly in his head as well.
Yeah.
You know, like if he does get a bit of a naughty challenge against him, or if he does fall slightly awkwardly, he's straight away like down to that feeling that knee. But I don't even know if it's the same knee that he's had the operations on, or whether he's had operations on both. But it's got to be something subconsciously in there. I mean, Kev said it's easy, Concert and Bahada or Dasasi, but it's whether Concer's 100% fit. That's the other thing. I mean, he came in and he looked fine against Chelsea, but we're asking, and I do caveat this with, I'm not one for saying, our players are playing too much and all that sort of stuff. I don't always buy that excuse, but certainly when someone's coming back from injury, I think it's important to make sure that players have got opportunity to kind of get back into some rhythm, and that's the point. Like Mings has had to play and had to put himself in that situation. Conter's probably going to have to play Saturday, Tuesday, probably Friday, and the following Tuesday. So again, I'm a little bit worried about that. Hopefully, Mings is one of these where it hurts on the night, but he can get himself through, and he doesn't have to train all week, and he just turns up for the matches. Because I think that's probably going to have to be the how we move with Tyrone Mings at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's watch his space one, but you are right. If Konza is going to be needed, isn't he, in the Palace game? Sorry, in the FA Cup game, because.
Unless you play Dina and Bahada at centre back or something, or if Kamara's back.
Yeah. I mean, these might be the only options, mightn't they? Or as we said before, play Rashford or Asensio there if you want to get him in the team. Give him a free roll. But yeah, it is a worry for us. Just God, Pau Torres being back is massive. Obviously it gives us that extra bit of quality on the ball. It also gives us that kind of security in terms of having someone else there. Konza getting for a few games. Although I would say when he threw his boot in the air, I think he looked like he was pretty nimble and pretty fit when he did that. So
No, he looked good. He looked fine. He looked good. He looked fine. Marcus Rashford's on my mind. He was absolutely class again, Konsa, and maybe he was potentially ready, but he could have been in the squad or been involved against Liverpool. But he needed just a couple of more days to get himself sort of 100% fit. So we'll see.
Well, I've got a Great Dane leg here. Everyone can see he's still kicking around. He's on the. This is what I've got to deal with, everybody. By the way, that's not someone else you might think it is. That's definitely a Great Dane leg.
We'll clip that off.
Yeah, please do.
So,
Please do.
so I said Bogard did all right, but Mateta will be too big. Yeah, he's a dangerous player to play against, but I'm sure Disassi will do all right. Steven says play two at the back with Emi as our super sweeper. He gives us another attacker. Yeah, it probably
Yeah,
solves our attacking
perfect.
crisis as well, our options up front. Gary said Mings needs to retire before it's too late. He can't keep playing. It was the same knee. Ivan said, you fear when Ty goes down. More to the point, we miss what Power offers in terms of bringing the ball out and the longer pass. Mings' outlook is in essence slower than Power. Yeah, you do notice that. You do notice that a lot. Paul says, Kevin Rich, we have to buy two centre-backs in the summer. One from Bruges is good, Ibanez. Well, we can see what he's like next week. And Gary said ACL is the worst injury, both mentally and physically. Yeah, I agree. Kevin says Disassi and Bahada v Palace. Conser Mings versus Cardiff. Interesting. Who else have we got? Torres on the bench in the Champions League. We'll hope so. I absolutely hope so. And yeah, Seta Stein says maybe Mings needs to get on the Guinness and we have Paul McGrath Mark II. Yeah. Well, I think you just have to ice up his knees after every game and just roll back out again on the Saturday and it'll be all right.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you what's a left field shout. I think Si put it in the chat there, but we got that Mosquera back, didn't we? From loan.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
I think he's 20 years old, 6'3", very highly rated young Colombian. So
he could come in. Yeah.
could potentially
FA Cup. Yeah.
Yeah, could be the hero, couldn't he?
Yeah, that would be interesting. That wouldn't it be exciting to see him and Bahada at the back or something against Cardiff?
Yeah, apparently he's very highly
again,
rated.
you don't want to. The dangerous one is because you just don't want to mess that up. We really want to be in the next round of the FA Cup. But yeah, it is a worry because fullbacks we're all right, aren't we? We've got Digne and Matson, and we've got Cash and Garcia, and a few people in the chat talk about Garcia and how good he is. What have you made of his start to his life as a Villa player? Kevin said, "Bless him, but Cash is just cover for me. Garcia is a baller." I mean, it does seem that he's just come in and slotted in, and he looks like he's been at Villa for years.
Well, I think what he's done, it's the same thing with the attacking options has done. I think Cash was actually pretty good the other day.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. But on both, he came on and did well against Liverpool, and he did pretty well against against Chelsea. But say Garcia did well again when he came on, and Garcia, barring the mistake, had a really good game against Liverpool as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think he looks like he's a real quality player. I think he had a tough first half against Wolves in a baptism of fire Premier League debut coming from the Spanish second tier. But since then, he's looked every inch a Premier League player. I think he looks quality. He's good going forward, defensively strong, makes sort of sensible decisions. Other than that, obviously that mistake he made, I think he seems to use the ball pretty well. Yeah, I think he's a real quality find. Again, a great bit of work from our recruitment team because we're linked with a variety of right backs to pay what was it 8 million? Was it for 12 million? Something in this day and age, peanuts really for a player.
I don't think it was even as much as 12. Someone in the chat will let us know. Yeah, he did. Yeah, Cash did nearly fall over. Yeah, that was a bit of a bad one. Yeah. Neil's asking who is this Bahada we keep going on about? Do you want to explain?
Yeah, it's Rich is just trying to do the Dutch pronunciation of Bogard.
There we go.
Basically, yes. So Bahada.
We were told it was this on the chat. Lots of the chat told us it was not Bogard. So that's why we're doing it properly.
Yeah, we think half Humphrey Bogard for those that maybe have heard that name. It's Lamar Boharder apparently. So hopefully that clears it up.
Not Bo Selector.
Bo Selector. It were really good. Yeah.
Not Lamar Bo Selector, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately not.
No. Let's make sure we hit the like button, people. We have over 300 in the chat, and we've had some amazing support over the last few days as well. We also surpassed 1 million views on the channel, which is absolutely incredible. I want to thank you all for your support. AVFC Stato was in the chat as well earlier. Congrats on the 1 million views, which is just crazy to hit that number. So thank you for all your support. We want to keep going. Obviously, we're on the road to 6K. We want to hit 10K as soon as we can as well. So please do like and subscribe and follow us at Villa Park Pod. Follow us at KTAVFC as well on X, and make sure you're liking and retweeting, liking, subscribing, all that jazz as well. But yeah, thank you for all your support. It is so much appreciated. So let's take a look at the fixtures that we have, and can we get that consistency going? And when we've got these big home games to come, particularly in the Premier League, the likes of Nottingham Forest, Newcastle. So we've got Forest on the 5th of April, we've got Brighton away the 1st of April, Brentford away in March. I mean, all these teams are around us, Kev. It's massive, really, in terms of every game. Obviously, we've got Southampton there, but then we've got Newcastle at home, City away, Fulham at home, Bournemouth away, Spurs at home, and then a relegation. Maybe we'll consign United to relegation. But look at those home games: Tottenham, Fulham, Newcastle, and Forest. I mean, absolutely huge games at Villa Park.
Yeah, well, every game's big now, isn't it? In the running for us to have a late charge for the Champions League spots. I say late charge because we've just not really been consistently in there at any point, really, have we? So, and when we're not that far away from it. But yeah, I mean, at home you fancy us. You really do fancy us at home. I don't think, and even in that one game against Arsenal, we lost. Other than I think it was obviously Palace in the Carabao Cup, with a changed team. That Arsenal game, this is Arsenal who were challenging for the league title up until probably this weekend. It looks like they might be over, and we should have won that game. We should have been turning up. So it's a real sign of confidence. I think that they've got now that Villa Park is becoming a bit of a fortress. As much as we're not winning as much as we were previously, we ain't losing there really. And then the away games, it's just about getting that form, isn't it? But I just think if we can get this confidence to be built, like we've talked about a lot, that can go a long way for us in terms of getting that head of steam up to get the momentum going to get some of these wins. And this is where I think actually some of the quality we've brought in, some of the experience that some of these players have got, and some of the experience of players in the team over the last few years. Your Mings, your McGinns, your Watkins, your Diniers, obviously your Matsons, Marlins, etc. That experience is going to be valuable, absolutely valuable for us in terms of what we're doing now when it comes to crunch time of the season, trying to get over the line, trying to get to the next stage of competitions. But there's some teams there that will want to be giving us a bloody nose, but aren't in the best of form. You look at, as you say, Man United, you got Spurs, you got teams like Brighton and Brentford that are going to want to gate crash the European spots and have had ups and downs this season. Obviously, Newcastle's going to be an interesting one. City away is going to be a really, really interesting one, isn't it? I note today that Grealish couldn't even get off the bench, could he, in a game where they couldn't score?
No.
Sorry, I've mentioned him. Sorry,
You did. You said the G word.
I've mentioned that Voldemort. Sorry. Yeah. So.
But yeah, I mean, like you say, every game's massive, and it just seems like each one of those games has got something on it in terms of teams that are probably going to be around us. I mean, whisper it, but Tottenham could be in and around it by the time the second last game of the season comes. I'm pretty sure United won't, but who knows? And like you say, there's some teams there that we're going to want to get our own back on, and there's some teams that are obviously going to want to get their own back on us. I really want to get our own back on Forest. I really want to do the same to Newcastle. But we got a good win against Brentford. They're in pretty decent form at the moment. They can easily turn up and give us a dangerous game. So it's all to play for. And I'll go back to kind of that tweet that John Townley did last week in terms of the average points and what's needed for fifth. And he said 68 points, and that would be 30 points from a then 13 games. We're on 42 points now. So we'd need, 26 points from the last 11 to get to 68 points. Then 63 for sixth, 59 for seventh, and 55 for eighth. But a lot of people saying that they don't think that the fourth and fifth position points total will be as high this year.
I don't think
just be purely because teams are just beating each other so much.
Yeah, I agree. I think looking at like what it's been previously is a little bit of a red herring when you consider the amount of teams that are taking points off each other. Yeah, I really think it could be a lot lower. I actually think you could have fifth potentially a bit more cut adrift from the top four. And that will be an interesting one if it ends up being fifth. He's like 6 or 7 points off fourth spot. Yeah, there's so much to play. That's why it's an exciting league, and actually, the
Mm.
competition in the league makes it as an exciting league as it's been in years. Um, but I've said this many, many times, particularly going back earlier in the season, where I feel like in a scenario where it is so competitive, but there's also so many teams that are, as Gary says, inconsistent as they are. And as I've said in a couple of the TikToks that you've clipped up and gone a bit mental, like and no one fancies it. No one fancies it. No one fancies Arsenal don't fancy it now, do they? Man City don't fancy it. Forest don't fancy it. The only one who fancies it is Liverpool. So, really, if you look at it, you just get a bit of consistency together. I'm not saying second or third now, but we have got enough in our arsenal, pardon the pun, Arsenal, sorry, to finish in the top 5 positions. I think we're one of the best 5 teams in the Premier League. We just
Mm.
we've just got to
Do
show it now.
you, do you think we can find that consistency?
I'm back in the team. Yeah, I really think we can. I think we have to look at the injuries. There's been a few anomalies. I know it is what it is, and it all balances itself out. But like we've said, it was a little bit of a violin play, wasn't it, from me previously when I was like, oh, first shot on goal conceded, bad refs, deflections in the box. But I do feel like we've been poor defensively. Yeah, but we've had tons of different defensive partnerships. We've had a lot of injuries in defence. If we can just get these injuries sorted, get the core of the squad back, so we're not managing too many injuries with these attacking options that we've already talked about on the show tonight. I think we can go on a bit of a consistent run. I mean, obviously it's peak end of the season, but this is where you got to keep grinding results out. And I think that Chelsea win will do a hell of a lot for us. One down at half time to come back and win that game with an 89th minute winner. Stuff like that is what galvanizes a team. It's what gives teams confidence. Not that long ago, we came back from 2-0 down against Arsenal away to get a 2-2 draw. We've beaten Bayern Munich this season. We've beaten Man City convincingly 2 years in a row. We've got a lot of positives in that win column now. We've beaten everybody, haven't we?
Mm.
Other than Liverpool in recent years, other than that big win we had against them. We've beaten everybody, and who's to say there isn't going to be round the corner, a Real Madrid or a PSG getting a bloody nose from Aston Villa managed by Unai Emery.
Who knows, eh? Well, we haven't even talked about Champions League this tonight, and that's a turn up for the books. But yeah, that'll wait. That'll wait.
Yeah,
Just I said there are many teams right now fighting for European places. Even Brentford in 11th place are only 7 points from
yeah,
fifth. Every game is massive. We need to get a couple of wins in a row. Matty says a few weeks ago, fifth was a pipe dream, but it's doable if we keep being consistent, and that's the
yeah.
key. And in my head, I did the older. It's not that it's a difficult calculation at all, but 2 points per game. Obviously, with 11 games to go, 22 points puts us on 64 points, which, based on the average, would put us in between fifth and sixth, but will put us sixth. But as you said, with regards to potentially that points total being lower for the fifth spot, or just points totals in general being a little bit lower this season, then I think 64 could probably be enough for fifth. It might even come down to goal difference. Now goal difference isn't great, so we need to put some of
Oh
these
yeah.
chances away, and we need to be ruthless and get quite a few goals against one of these teams that are in and around us. Maybe a nice 4-0 win against Newcastle will do us some good. But
Yeah, I'll be great
yeah,
with it. Beat
yeah,
Palace 11-0.
yeah,
James has just said there, Onana will come good, and I think actually I would just add to that point, James, as well. I do think there'll be this season you'll be seeing the likes of a Ross Barkley and Amadou Onana, a Pau Torres, Ian Matson a bit more. You'll see Leon Bailey. You'll see players like this that haven't contributed loads this season. I think you'll see them really coming to the fore. Absolutely,
fingers crossed.
I think you'll see it. Because I think there's this squad. I think you'll have to see all of this squad producing the goods, performing to get us over the line. Yeah, I mean we talk about the lack of goals from a McGinn, lack of goals from a centre half. Who's to say there's not going to be Konza powering a header in, or McGinn doing one of his championship scorchers? We haven't seen too many of lately.
Well already for Asensio's up there with our highest goal scoring sort of midfield / forwards at the moment. So with 2 goals in
Weird.
one game. So
Well,
yeah,
Asensio's equaled now the most goals ever scored by Villa player against Chelsea in the Premier League.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
with the mighty two, yeah. So, yeah, and listen, scoring it is addictive. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is, and that's you've got to give him credit. Obviously the keeper could have done better, particularly for the second one, but it's still a good connection. You got to be in the right positions. I think about Asensio, and people saying, "Oh, if his legs gone, has his legs gone?" He did the most distance of running in the game.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I was interested in that when Gareth did the plotting of the stats, and I think it was I think he did a fair amount, but I don't think he did as much as Tielemans and McGinn.
I,
But he
I
did a
thought
fair amount.
I thought it came out saying he did. I thought it was that he did.
Whoever that he might have got a different kind of stat person doing it and doing the analysis, or maybe it was to a certain time frame. But I
Right.
think Gusto did the most in the whole game. If you watch Talking Tactics, you'll see us going through it,
Okay.
and that's to everyone in the chat as well. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, he did well. I mean, I got a bit of grief on my tweet, which I said at half time, take Asensio off, take Ramsey off, Asensio off, and Matson off. And then everyone was like, "Oh, this tweet aged well," but I still stand by it. At half time, I don't think anyone could have moaned at any of them three going off. And
No, I don't think so. Well,
obviously Ramsey went off.
what else did you say as well to in the chat? We had, I think you said we had zero chance of winning, didn't you? That was it. I
We
remember that
did,
one.
yeah. I'd
Yeah.
say zero chance of winning.
I came out with zero question mark, and you put yep 0. Oh yeah, I should have given you more
That was
credit for that.
reverse psychology. That was
It was.
reverse psychology.
I love it, but
Yeah.
I know
But
you're man enough.
Gary said the same as me. Yeah,
Yeah,
Gary
do
said
you
the
know
same
what?
as me.
I think a lot of Villa fans were thinking we've read this script before. We know where this goes. So yeah, I don't think you were crazy for thinking that, but it was nice
No,
to.
and look, Asensio was good, and he's a great player, but he wasn't. I mean, it was brilliant that he finished those chances. Don't get me wrong, but Rashford changed that game. Rashford was
Yeah,
phenomenal when he came on.
Rashford did. He
Um,
did.
and he's just so dangerous. And the subs. This is why I was talking about the attacking options. The subs were the real game changers, and this is what's going to help us this season for the rest of this season. Because if you can bring on the likes of, I've already said it, Rashford, Marlon, Bailey, Garcia, and whoever else. If you flip that on its head and you bring on Ramsey, Rogers, Watkins, you've got completely you've got a total different attacking lineup to go against the defense that's already had 70 minutes of the previous attacking players that have been on. It's
Yeah,
like it's like oh my god, we've got more players coming on. I mean, like you said about Bailey when he came on, it was 15-20 minute cameo, him and Marlon, but they were electric.
yeah,
They didn't, he didn't necessarily have a shot, but Cucurella, I didn't know what day it was.
yeah.
It
And you know
was
what I like?
like a wave of attacks coming going at him.
And what I like as well is that like Matson got more into the game, and actually,
Mm,
obviously he's a fit lad. And later on in the game, he's maybe not been the best. Although you got to be honest, Pedro Neto can skip past anybody. He looked like he
mm,
was a little bit out of position when the ball came over. He was having to run back to get back to him, and that probably wasn't the best sort of starting position for him. He was a bit inverted, wasn't he? A bit tucked in, but
yeah,
um, Neto could get past any fullback in the world. He was probably their best
yeah,
player, Neto. And
yeah.
it say, oh, Matson, the fullbacks are crap again. Other than that, I actually thought he did pretty well. But when you're looking at attacking options and you got him bombing forward, I think the interesting one as well is I'm a huge fan of Ramsey, and I'm not writing Ramsey off at all. I think Ramsey's got loads to give still. But you're Ramsey, and then you see Marcus Rashford come on, play on that left hand side, and it was clearly a step up in quality and how effective he was. And Ramsey's going to have to be like, you know what, maybe I've got to be more direct, because he was
Mm,
just getting the ball and he was just going at the fullback every time, and it was just brilliant to see. Yeah, it's fantastic. This quality that we can bring off the bench is going to be the envy of most teams in the league. And we talked a lot of, about having finishers to come on. Our finishers used to be, with all the love in the world, a Trezeguet and an El Ghazi, and our finish, and maybe a Henry Lansbury or something. Our finishers now are top level international footballers that are actually changing the game, and that's a
mm.
massive situation to be in.
Yeah, yeah. Just to finish up, as it is fans forum, we've had a few comments about it. You should probably put these both together. It was VAR and the linesman in terms of not only the decisions yesterday against us for Chelsea. I mean, how he how he put his flag up straight away for offside for the Rashford for the Asensio first goal, but then they let players go through on the attack and have a shot, and then players potentially get injured before they put the flag up on any other occasion is crazy. But then but just the standard of the refereeing. I mean, Michael Oliver yesterday, I don't know what it was like for you in the ground, but he was awful. And
Terrible.
in general, the referees lately, we're obviously biased, we're talking about Villa here, but they've just been absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I agree. I know maybe like we obviously look at it. Well, not maybe. We definitely look at it from a Villa lens, through a Villa lens, and maybe other teams feel the same that their referees are against their team. And it'd be interesting to know if there are actually any stats on. Is there anywhere where there's a independent body says whether it actually was a foul or was a free kick or was a yellow card? Like you can look at it like with XGs and stuff to say actually where the decision's correct or not. Because when you go to a ref's mic'd up whatever it is thing with Howard Webb and Michael Owen.
Michael Owen.
Yeah, or when you see, the refs that are like pundits on the TV shows or Soccer Saturday, whoever it might be, you generally seem to side with the referee.
Of
And
course.
they go along with the opinion. I mean, look, I actually had to be the line for my lads match a couple of weeks ago. And I tell you what, for those that have done it, it's a lot bloody harder than it looks because trying to keep up with the play is difficult. So I've got a bit more sympathy now.
I did it yesterday for my son. I slipped over and fell flat on my backside.
There
So
you go.
yeah,
I bet they're all talking about the standard of refereeing in your game. But that to one side, it's the inconsistency of sometimes putting your flag up straight away and sometimes not. And if he was convinced he was offside, then but the player that was playing him onside was stood next to the linesman. So you're looking past that person, so you're in the wrong position. But the big one for me was the one on Bogarda by De Gea. I mean, that was it was a clear pull. So if the referee doesn't see it, what are VAR doing? What are they doing? I mean, that is a penalty. And and if that had been a 1-1 draw yesterday, or had been a defeat, we'd be really talking about that'd be a massive talking point now on this podcast.
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw the Man United Everton game. Obviously Man United can't dare have a penalty given against them with the minute to go. And yeah, Ashley Young maybe goes down a bit easy, but it was like the shirt pull was ridiculous.
Definite penalty. Yeah, definite. 100%.
But not only that, he gives the penalty, and VAR says, "Oh no, you might want to have a look at that." It's like
what? This
is where it gets into people's heads that if that would have been at the other end, for Man United, there's absolutely no way he does that. Or if that had been at Old Trafford for Man United, there's zero chance that I'm talking zero chance this time. There's zero chance that that's getting overturned.
Yeah, where is the clearing of his error? There's not. Anyway, we beat Chelsea. That'll do.
We beat Chelsea, and we didn't need that. We didn't need that in the end. But yeah, just Michael Oliver. I mean, how is Enzo Fernandez not getting sent off as well?
I know. Yeah. Well,
not that I'm calling for players to get sent off, but come on.
There's a level of like persistent fouls I've noticed in a lot of Villa games lately, where they're just not giving the free kicks. So, and it feels like again, maybe it's a perception. It feels like I'm looking at it from a victim perception of Aston Villa fans, but we're getting, hauled back for much more minor indiscretions. I can see McGinn smashing into people and not having free kicks given against him, and yet the same thing happens to us, and they just let wave play on. There's times where some of our players yesterday were getting absolutely. There was one where someone got absolutely ball. I mean, I was in the lower halt, so I couldn't see that well. But one where one of our players, maybe Watkins or Rogers, got absolutely wiped out, and he just would like play on. I'm thinking, how's that play on? Just don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the player got booked when Rogers did actually, because he had to go off with his ankle hurting because he got stamped on or something. I don't even know. He may have been given a foul against, but I don't think they gave a card for it. But it was a horrendous tackle.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does seem like that. And there's been a few. I don't know if it was Kanate or there was someone who got allowed to be taken off in a game a few weeks ago because he kept putting bad tackles in. But yeah, we could go on all night about referees, but it's so frustrating last night. But we got the win, as you said, and hopefully we can take that on with our attacking options, with a newfound confidence, hopefully with more consistent Aston Villa. it's funny what a win does, isn't it, Kev? Because
Yeah,
last week we were like, there's no chance of Europe, there's no chance of Champions League, and now we're like, this is it. We're back in it. We're back in it.
we're going to win the lot.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right, we'll be back soon, probably tomorrow. I think me and Sam doing a match preview for Palace. I don't know if it'll be a live or record, but definitely look out for that. Catch me and Gareth talking tactics about our win against Chelsea. That is on the channel right now as well. We'll also be back with instant reaction, hopefully after 3 points against Crystal Palace, and match preview for Cardiff. The games are coming thick and fast, so make sure you stay tuned to the channel. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Make sure you help us on the road to 6K. Thank you for all your support. As we said, we've gone over 1 million views on the channel, so here's to the next million, and keep supporting the channel. Thanks for jumping on, Kev. Thank you all for watching, and as
Cheers.
always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.